You're standing in line. It's long. You've been waiting. Everyone has. And then a man walks past the entire queue, straight to the front, leans over the counter, and when the person behind it hesitates, he opens his jacket just enough to flash something on his belt. A badge. He doesn't say the words. He doesn't have to. The message is clear. I'm not like you. I don't wait. And here is the part that burns. It works. The person behind the counter nods. The man gets served, and 20 people who were there first stand in silence, annoyed but unsure, thinking what most people think in that moment. Can he do that? And the answer, which almost nobody in that line knew, is no, he cannot. An off-duty officer, using his badge for personal advantage, is not exercising police authority. He is abusing it. And in most departments in this country, what he just did is a fireable offense. In some cases, it is a crime. And the single most powerful thing anyone in that line could have done, the thing that in one real case cost an officer his career and his pension, was something that takes 3 seconds and no courage at all. They could have taken out their phone and pressed record. So today I'm going to tell you exactly what the law says about off-duty officers and their badges, what authority they actually have when they're not on the clock, and the one thing you need to understand about your phone, so that the next time you see someone trade a badge for a shortcut, you know exactly what to do. Stay with me, because there's a moment later where I'll show you the exact words that protect you if the person with the badge notices your camera and walks toward you. I'm James Calloway. I spent 12 years as a criminal defense attorney across 3 states. And I can tell you that the misuse of a badge is one of the most underreported and least understood abuses of authority there is. Not because people don't see it, because they assume nothing can be done. This isn't legal advice. It's the plain English version of what your rights actually are when you witness someone in a position of public trust, using that position for themselves. And let me say this before we go further. Most law enforcement officers would never do what the man in that line did. Most take the badge seriously and understand that it comes with limits, not privileges. I'm not here to tell you every officer is corrupt. I'm here for the moment when one of them acts like the badge is a VIP pass, so you know exactly where the line is and why your phone is the thing that enforces it. So let me start with what most people get wrong, because the confusion is the whole reason it works. A police officer's authority comes from the law, not from the badge itself. When an officer is on duty, acting within the scope of their role, carrying out a lawful function, they have real powers backed by real statutes. But the moment they clock off, those powers shrink dramatically. An off-duty officer is, in the eyes of the law, a civilian. They can make a citizen's arrest in the same narrow circumstances any civilian can. In some states, they retain a right to carry a concealed weapon. But the general police powers, the authority to detain, to search, to command compliance, those are tied to the job, not the person, which means flashing a badge to skip a line, to get a better table, to avoid a ticket from another officer, to intimidate a neighbor in a dispute, is not an exercise of authority. It is impersonation of one. And here is what most people never realize. Every major department in this country has a policy that explicitly prohibits using the badge for personal gain. It's usually written into the code of conduct in plain language. An officer shall not use their position for personal advantage. The language varies, but the rule doesn't, because the badge is public property. It represents the public trust. And the moment it's used to cut a line, settle a personal score, or intimidate a civilian in a private matter, that trust is being converted into a personal benefit. Departments take this seriously because they have to, and in extreme cases, federal law takes it even further. There is a statute, Title 18, Section 242, that makes it a federal crime for anyone acting under color of law to deprive a person of their constitutional rights. Color of law means using the appearance of official authority. An off-duty officer who flashes a badge to intimidate, threaten, or coerce someone in a private setting is doing exactly that, acting under color of law without lawful authority. That's not a policy violation. That's a federal offense. So the man in that line didn't just skip ahead. He committed something that, depending on the circumstances, could end his career, void his pension, and put him in a courtroom on the wrong side of the table. And the only reason anyone found out is that someone in the line did the one thing that turns a moment of private frustration into a matter of public record. They filmed it. And here is why that matters so much. Your right to film in a public space is protected by the First Amendment. This has been affirmed by federal courts across the country. You do not need permission. You do not need to announce it. If you are in a place where you are legally allowed to be, and the event you are recording is happening in public view, you can record it. That includes an off-duty officer flashing a badge at a restaurant. It includes a confrontation in a parking lot. It includes anything that happens in a space where there is no reasonable expectation of privacy. Your phone is not a weapon. It is a witness. And in an era where every officer wears a body camera precisely because footage holds people accountable, your camera does the same thing from the other direction. Now, let me show you what happens when the person with the badge notices the camera. Because this is where people fold, and it's the part I need you to be ready for. First move, the look. They see the phone and they stare at you. Hard. Most people put the phone down right there. The stare is designed to make you feel like you're the one doing something wrong. You're not. You are standing in a public space recording a public event. That is your right. You keep the phone steady, and you keep recording. Second move, the approach. They walk over. What are you doing? Put that away. Said with authority, said like an order. But an off-duty officer giving you a personal instruction in a private setting has no more authority over you than any other stranger. You are not required to stop filming. You are not required to delete anything. You are not required to show them what you've recorded. You say calmly, I'm in a public space, and I'm allowed to record. I'm not going to stop. That's the whole response. No argument, no justification, just a clear, polite statement of fact. Third move, the threat. I'm a police officer. You want to make this a problem? And here is the sentence I want you to hold on to. You're off duty, and I have every right to film in a public place. If you'd like to identify yourself, I'm happy to include that in what I send to your department. That sentence does three things at once. It names the reality that they are off duty, which strips the authority from the encounter. It restates your right, calmly and without backing down. And it introduces consequences, not as a threat, but as a fact. You are going to send this footage somewhere. And now everything that officer says and does from this moment is being said and done in front of a camera that's going to his commanding officer. Watch how fast the tone changes. Let me make this real. Two people, same restaurant, same off-duty officer, flashing a badge to jump the wait. The first person sees it, feels the injustice, mutters something under his breath, and lets it go. Nothing happens. The officer does it again next week, and the week after, because no one ever made it cost anything. The second person sees the same thing, takes out her phone, records 30 seconds of footage, and the next morning emails it to the department's internal affairs division with a one-paragraph description of what she saw. 2 weeks later, that officer is under investigation. His badge use is reviewed, a pattern emerges, and the discipline that follows, the one that costs him his pension, started with a 30-second video from a woman who didn't say a word to his face. Same restaurant, same abuse. The only difference was that one person knew their phone was a tool and used it. And knowing exactly when you can record, what to say if someone tries to stop you, and how to turn footage into a formal complaint that actually lands, is the reason I put together a short, plain English guide to your rights in any encounter involving law enforcement. It's called the Know Your Rights Guide, and it covers not just the stops and the searches, but the gray area moments, the off-duty confrontations, the badge flash intimidation, the situations where someone with authority is using it in a place where they have none. I'm not going to give you a hard sell. If this has been useful, the link is in the description whenever you want it. So let me bring it home. An off-duty officer has no general police authority over you. The badge is not a skeleton key to preferential treatment, and using it as one violates department policy, can trigger federal law, and in real cases has ended careers. Your phone is your most powerful tool in these moments. You have a constitutional right to film in any public space, and no one, badge or not, can lawfully order you to stop. And if they try, you hold your ground with one calm sentence. I'm in a public space. I have every right to record, and I'm happy to send this to your department. The people who hold power accountable are almost never the ones who argued in the moment. They're the ones who stayed quiet, kept recording, and knew exactly what to do with the footage the next morning. That's the person who cost that officer his pension. Not with a confrontation, with a camera and a calm email. If this helped, send it to one person you know. Because someone in your life is going to watch a badge get used as a shortcut. And the difference between it happening again and it being the last time is whether they knew what their phone could do. Subscribe because every week I break down one more of these moments in plain English so that the next time you see something that isn't right, you already know your rights better than the person abusing theirs. I'm James Calloway. Know your rights. A badge is not above them.